All right. I'll talk about it then. I might draw as well. When you're an athlete, there's this concept of training age. So like I look after rugby players and some runners and different people that I see in sport and exercise medicine. And we talk about training age. If you've started training, for school rugby or something, and then you suddenly join the Crusaders or the All Blacks or something, and they do a whole lot more training, then you're not going to cope, right? You'll get sore muscles and you probably hurt yourself, or you may get a stress fracture or something. So we know in professional sport that if you come in the first year and you're 18 years old, you can't do as much training as someone who's, say, like Dan Carter or someone who's been there for a number of years. They can do lots of training and they don't break down. So same in cyclists. In your first year of training, you can't do when you're 14 what an 18-year-old can do because of lots of things. Your body hasn't got used to it. So the first thing is that you can't just copy what someone else is doing. They're a better cyclist than you, they're beating you, and you see, oh, I'm just going to do what they do. But they've been going it for 3 years, and it's your first year, you're going to break down. Okay, so someone's got 1 training year of experience, and someone else has got 2, and someone else has got 10. Okay, and like Lance Armstrongs don't just suddenly emerge on the scene at 18 and win the Tour de France, because it's not that they're not fast. They're probably faster than the 20. They're probably faster at 18 than they are at 30. You see, most of the sprinters are at their best in the early 20s, but they can't train. Armstrong at 18 couldn't train as much as he could when he was 25 because his body hadn't got used to it. Right? So probably that's the most important thing. If you start training this year and you want to be like this man, you'll break down. Okay, so you have to have a 3 or 4 year plan to get to that volume, and if you try and get there too soon, you'll break down and you'll get disappointed and demoralised and sick and all sorts of things. Okay, and then you'll go, oh, gee, I'll just go and watch movies and I won't be a cyclist. So you have to. So that's the concept of training age, and that's probably the main thing. Right. So now, how much is too much? Well, that's the difficult thing. You see that in the first year you might, and it's probably best to express it as a number of hours per week or something, rather than just the distance, because professional cyclists training at, say, 38 kilometres an hour most days, on the road, and recreational cyclists going at 25 or 26, if you just do kilometres, it can mean quite a lot more hours if you're not going as quickly. Okay, so so that's the first thing about overtraining, is that what you can cope with. The second thing is that if you haven't trained much and you train a little bit, you improve a lot. And it's, gee whiz, I've only been riding for 2 months, and you get massive improvements. And if you double the amount of training you do, you don't get doubly better, right? They call that the law of diminishing returns. Okay, so a lot of what you can do is genetic. You inherited it from your family, and you're lucky if your mum and dad are good athletes, because the chances are that you'll be a good athlete too. But if your mum and dad aren't good athletes, you could also just have the genetics, by good luck. So, some talented people do very little training and do really well. Then they think, oh, gee whiz, if I do 10 times as much training, I'll be a world champion. But they don't get much better. They get a little bit better, but not a lot better. Okay. So the first thing is your training age. Second thing is you must first do as much as you can on a little bit of training, and before you go and like some people, who's going to do the coast to coast. You guys, it's a great thing, but some people, they stop their job and they do train for the coast to coast, and they come like 200th. And Andrea won the women's race. She's got talent and application and mental toughness, but some people haven't got that, and they could give their life away. And so you've got to be careful to be realistic about what you can achieve. Right? And the third thing is balance. That if you have a very, very unbalanced life, then you're probably not going to do as well as if you keep that balance with school and social life and your sport. So you could give away all your social life and all your school life to riding your bike. And while you may do well at first, if you don't do so well, then people they feel lonely, or their life comes crumbling down. So that's the other thing, that you don't want to keep that balance, because that psychologically keeps you better as an athlete.